What's going on, Raiders? Duelam here, and today we're going to be talking about the Force Summon Pool. That's right, we got some Prism crystals, some Prism shards. It's the first time we've had them in a little bit, actually, and we've got a pretty dang good pool here. We've got some pretty insane characters that are much better than the headline champion, which honestly is a good thing because your chances of getting the headline is very, very low. So if you're ready, let's get into it. But first, make sure you're clicking that download link or scanning the QR code to get started off in Raid Shadow Legends the best way possible. You're going to be getting Tholen Foulbeard, day number 1, one of the best legendaries they have ever given away for free. At level 10, you're going to be getting Tagore, who's an amazing epic support character, gives increased speed to all allies, as well as has an entire team revive. You're also going to be getting Ruella at level 20, who is an amazing epic nuker doing some incredible damage early on for you. And last but certainly not least, you're going to be getting Lady Annabelle, who does some incredible things even in the late game, soloing content and being able to carry your team and keep them alive. But that's not all. Make sure you are starting Raid Shadow Legends sooner rather than later to get Xenomorph. That's right, you're going to get Alien from the Alien vs. Predator series, absolutely free just for starting Raid Shadow Legends and playing for 7 days. And that's not all. Make sure you're putting in promo code Monkey King to get Sun Wukong, who is one of the best legendaries they have ever offered for free. And you will get started off in Raid Shadow Legends the best way possible. So make sure you're downloading using my link or scanning my QR code. All right, let's hop over to the Force Summon Pool here. So the Force Summon Pool, I'm going to slide over on the other side here, is pretty damn good. So we're going to start with the epics as we always do. Zargala right away, a good character, right? Zargala's pretty good. Nothing too crazy. We got a weaken on the A1. We've got instantly activate the A3 on an A2 if it gets a kill, which is nice. The A3, pretty nice as well. Attacks all enemies 3 times after the first hit. Has a 50% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Pretty solid. She's not bad at all. She's nothing too crazy though, but she's still pretty decent, right? We do have Thylessa. Thylesa's okay, nothing too crazy. Increases the duration of all debuffs on all enemies by 1 turn. Pretty good. No need for books as well, because the books are not going to cooldowns, so that's pretty nice. Books still do go to cooldowns here. AoE, decreased defense buff for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown when booked. Pretty solid, honestly. Not too bad at all. We've got Sinesha. Sinesha's also very good. Sinesha's pretty good as well. Attacks all enemies. Places an extra hit on enemies less than 50% HP after the first hit. Vaporize, 4-turn cooldown, booked down to 3-turn cooldown. Puts the target skill on cooldown, which is really nice. Heals the ally with the lowest HP by 25%. Equalizes the HP of all allies, which is also very, very good on a 5-turn cooldown. They'll be brought up to the level with the highest HP, then heals the target ally by 10% of their max HP. She's not a bad little support character. We got Sepulture Sentinel, who's pretty good. Rector Drath, very, very good. I can't say enough good things about Rector Drath. Perfect Veil, very, very solid on a 4-turn cooldown. Love this character. This character is awesome. Continuous heal as well. Rector Drath is just awesome. We've also got a single target revive and a Perfect Veil for 3 turns as well. And then whenever under a Veil or Perfect Veil buff gets a turn, heals them by 10% of their max HP, also increases the resistance of allies under a Veil or Perfect Veil buffs by 50, which is absolutely insane. Really, really good. Just almost as good as her aura, just in the passive section of her kit, which is absolutely insane. Really, really, really solid. I love that. Let's see who else we got. We got Neldor. Neldor's very good as well. Obviously, triple hitter on the A1, giving the freeze as well for Fire Knight Hard. Quad hitter on the A2, just really, really solid. And then we got an AoE attack all 2-time hitter on the A3 as well. Really, really, really good character for Fire Knight Hard. Very, very solid. Mordecai is good for Spider if you're struggling in Spider. We've got Mistrider Dathi, who's very good. I used him in Faction Wars. He was my damage dealer for Faction Wars for Silver Watchers. Very, very solid. We do have Lady Quillen as well, in case you need somebody. Ilicinia for Mikage. Husk, okay, nothing too crazy. He does have enemy max HP, which is a big thing. If you do need somebody to do the Sand Devil Cheese with the enemy max HP hit on the A2 here, and then with Godseeker and Neri, if you need that, that is definitely worth it. Let's see, we got Geomancer, probably the best epic in the game, right up there with Deacon, right up there with Tagore. Geomancer's amazing. I've talked about him so much. Doom Priest pretty good as well. Aox pretty good as well. Burengiri also pretty good. He's not bad at all, especially for Shadowkin. Where Shadowkin is definitely rough for faction wars. We got to provoke on a 20% chance, booked up to a 40% chance. Yeah, 40% chance. We've got a stun debuff for an attack all on a 60% chance. Pretty good on a 3-turn cooldown. Nothing wrong with that. And then we got strengthened buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a shield buff for 2 turns on allies with less than 50% HP. The shield buff is equal to 15% of the target's max HP. So shield, very nice. But it is conditional, which I'm not the biggest fan of, so that is kind of annoying. And then the passive here, Soulmonger, heals the champion by 50% of their max HP whenever an ally or an enemy dies. So the same thing as Lady Annabelle, actually. Lady Annabelle has the exact same passive. And then Aox, obviously, very, very good as well. He is used for, I use him every day in Iron Twins, because every time he gets hit, he increases the duration of debuffs on enemies. So him paired with Geomancer is literally just the team to take out Iron Twins very, very, very easily. Now, let's talk about the legendaries here. The legendaries here are pretty damn good, actually. The first legendary we're going to talk about is Thrallmother Venalicia Thrallmother, I think. Very, very good. Triple hitter, places a weaken as well on a 75% chance. Very solid. We've got the A2. Purge the Impure, 5-turn cooldown, book down to a 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies before attacking, removes all buffs from all enemies. Already really, really good. We've also have a 75% chance of placing block, buffs, debuff, and a 60% decreased defense debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. Insane in Hydra right here. Taking, removing all the buffs, then block buffs, then decreased defense. Amazing in Hydra on a 3-turn cooldown is kind of nutty as well. Also, Mother Knows Best, 6-turn cooldown, book down to a 4-turn cooldown. Revive all dead allies with 50% HP, 50% turn meter. If all other allies are dead, revives them with 75% HP and 75% turn meter instead. Decreases the cooldown of all revived ally skills by 1 turn. Also increases the cooldown of all enemy skills by 2 turns. This is one of the best revives in the game. This revive is absolutely nutty. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Then we've got the passive here. Fills his champion's turn meter by 20% whenever an ally dies. Also insane. Heals his champion by 20% of their max HP whenever attacked by an enemy under a Pain Link debuff occurs once per turn. Places a Pain Link debuff for 2 turns on enemies whose deal damage equal to 25% or more of an ally's max HP with a single skill. There are multiple champions of the team with the skill. Only one will proc. And then accuracy in all battles. Thrallmother, absolutely insane. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Next up, and definitely just as good, Wixwell. Man, if you don't have Wixwell and I don't, boy, oh boy, are we missing out. Wixwell is pretty much the God combo with Titus. And if you have them, this is just a whole team in and of itself. Absolutely amazing. Attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 40%, booked up to a 60% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. If the target is a boss, the chance increases to 80%, which means it's 100% when booked. Amazing. And he's got some counter attacks as well on the passive, which we'll talk about. Tempest of Knowledge, 4-turn cooldown, booked down to a 3-turn cooldown. Attack all has a booked up 100% chance of placing a decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. Also increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. Absolutely nuts. Then increases the value of all shields on all allies. The value of each shield is increased proportional to the total number of buffs which had their duration increased. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And then the A3s where all of those shields are coming from. Codex Intercipio, 5-turn cooldown, booked down to a 3-turn cooldown. Dude, this guy is so good. Places 2 intercept stacks on a target ally. Also places a 60% increased defense and shield buff on all allies for 2 turns. The value of the shield is proportional to this champion's defense. Then you're going to be increasing the value of the shields on the A2. You're also going to just be doing so much, and you're increasing the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. So guess what? You're doing the A3. The A3 goes out for 2 turns, the shield and the increased defense. Then the A2 goes off, extends it so you could get back to the A3, so there's always shields out there. Like, it doesn't get better than that. Like, this guy is the epitome of a shielder in Raid Shadow Legends. Like, just blows anybody else out of the water. Just absolutely insane. Isolated Lunacy, this is the passive I was talking about that works really well with the A1. At the start of each round, places a counterattack buff on this champion for 1 turn. This buff cannot be removed at the end of this champion's turn places a counterattack buff on them for 1 turn. So a big part of this is he's not going to be taking a turn very quickly, which is fine, but he's going to be counterattacking a bunch and potentially putting provoke on a lot of people, which is amazing. Wixwell, I can't say enough good things about him. Pythion, pretty good as well. Attacks 1 enemy 2 times, heals and lowers HP. Not too bad. He's got remove all debuffs from all allies, then heals them by 10% of their max HP. Also very good. Heals each ally by 5% of their max HP for each debuff removed from them. So kind of like a Mausoleum Mage A3. Also places a debuffs buff on all allies for 2 turns. Really nice for Hydra. We've also got Immortal Serpent, 7-turn cooldown, book down to a 4-turn cooldown. Revive all. 50% HP, 50% turn meter, then places 25% strength and buff on all allies for 2 turns. 2 turns? Yeah, 2 turns. And then overlay, allies receive 5% less damage from skills for each buff on them. Stacks up to 25%. Very good. Again, in Hydra. Pythion is pretty solid, honestly. Increase ally resistance in a battle by 60. We've got Preva. Preva's also very good. We've got increased ally speed in all battles by 20%. Already amazing with the aura. Bolt of Affliction transfers all debuffs in this champion to the target. This effect cannot be resisted if this champion is under 3 or more debuffs. This is essentially like Lyssandra's transfer A1, but it's better because if it's 3 or more debuffs, it can't be resisted, which is absolutely nuts. Malignant Energy, 5-turn cooldown, book down to a 3-turn cooldown, heals all allies by 25% of this champion's max HP, then places a 60% increased defense buff and a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. That's really solid, especially if you have lasting gifts, getting increased speed out there, increased defense out there. That is really solid. Amazing. Seed of Corruption, 6-turn cooldown, book down to a 4-turn cooldown. Revives a single ally, only a single ally, with 100% HP and 50% turn meter. Fully resets the cooldowns of all of their skills. That's what really makes up for it, is the fully resets the cooldown of all their skills. That is nice. Now, Sacrificial Servant. At the start of the champion's turn, transfers 1 debuff from each ally to the champion. To this champion, will not transfer any of like the hard crowd control, stun, sleep, freeze, provoke, anything like that. This effect cannot be resisted or blocked. If there are multiple champions on this team with a skill, only one will activate. This champion, the skill will not activate on duplicate copies of this champion if this particular champion is dead. At the end of the champion's turn, fills the turn meter of all allies by 10%, an additional 2% for each debuff on this champion. If there are multiple champions on this team with this skill, only one will activate. This is nuts. This is good. This is really good. This is what makes Preva really solid. She is absolutely nuts in Hydra. Very good. Taking all of those debuffs off her team, putting them on her, and then also giving turn meter based off those debuffs. Absolutely insane. We've got Sanguine Maria, and if you haven't seen her in Arena, count your lucky stars because this chick slaps. This was one of the most recent fusions. We had Kraz, and then Sanguine was right before. Sanguine is absolutely insane. A triple hitter, 33% chance of gaining an extra turn. Really solid here. A2, 4-turn cooldown, book down to a 3-turn cooldown, ignoring 33% of the target's defense. Will ignore 99% of the target's defense, stone skin, and block damage buffs instead if the skill is used on a turn number that is divisible by 3. Yes, really. She's not great on defense, but if you can use her correctly on offense, she is absolutely nuts. She's so good. 99% of the target's defense ignored is sickeningly strong. That is so good. If the target is killed, increases the cooldown of all enemy skills by 3 turns. This effect cannot be resisted if this skill is used on a turn that is a turn number that is divisible by 3. Absolutely insane. Then Gore Scream, 4-turn cooldown, book down to a 3-turn cooldown, attacks 1 enemy before attacking, removes all buffs from all enemies. Immediately amazing. This effect cannot be resisted by enemies with a number of buffs that is divisible by 3 as well. Will attack all remaining enemies with less than 66% HP. Grants an extra turn of this champion under a number of buffs that is divisible by 3. There's so much theory crafting to do with this, and I absolutely love it. This chick is so cool. And then we got the passive here. Say her name. Each subsequent hit from this champion deals 33% more damage, stacks up to 99%, resets after the 99% damage bonus is applied. Each subsequent hit this champion receives deals 33%, 11% from bosses less damage, stacks up to 3 times, resets after the damage reduction is applied for the 3rd time. Whenever an enemy is revived, revives this champion with 33% HP and 66% turn meter. After being revived, places a True Fear debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. This debuff cannot be resisted or blocked. Disgusting. I did not go for her because I was saving for Leonardo at that time, and I regret it. She is absolutely nuts. Next up, we got Glakehead and Meltwater. Dude, he's insane too. This is probably one of the best summon pools ever. With probably one of the worst headline champions ever, which is kind of crazy to see. Predator, not that great in my opinion, but hey, he's I'll make a video about him, but he is kind of lackluster in my opinion. So Boreal Bolt, attack 1 enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 35% chance of placing a freeze debuff for 1 turn. The target has 50% HP or less. This debuff cannot be resisted. Absolutely amazing. A2, Meltwater Cloak, 5-turn cooldown, booked down to a 4-turn cooldown. Places a 50% increased attack buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also has a booked up 100% chance to place a perfect veil buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Then fills the turn meter of all allies by 15%. Really solid perfect veil, increased attack, and filling the turn meter of all allies on a 4-turn cooldown. Very good. A3, Lifestream, 7-turn cooldown, booked down to a 4-turn cooldown though. Revives all dead allies with 40% HP, 25% turn meter. Also places increase accuracy and increased defense buff on all allies for 3 turns. These buffs will be placed even if no allies were revived. Amazing. If no allies were revived with this skill, grants this champion an extra turn, which is really nice because most of the time the revive abilities can't be used unless there's nobody that needs to be revived. So I really like that this has a kind of a fail safe, so it can still continue to go off, which is amazing, giving that increased accuracy and increased defense for 3 turns. Amazing, and giving that extra turn. We've also got a passive here. Allies under a perfect veil placed by this champion deal 10% more damage. Allies under perfect veil placed by this champion deal an additional 10% damage to enemies under veil or perfect veil buffs. And then we've also got increased ally speed in all battles by 19%. Glakehead is absolutely nuts. One of the better supports in the game. We've got First Axe, Tough Score. He's okay. Nothing too crazy. I won't talk about him. He's an Ogre tribe, so you know he's not great. And then we've got Dune Herald, Zaharis. He's okay. He's got a debuff spread on the A1. Nothing wrong with that. The A2 attacks 1 enemy, then applies a buff spread effect, taking all buffs from the champion and placing them on all allies, which is really nice. Places a block buffs and a block active skills debuff on this target for 2 turns. It is booked down to a 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty solid. Booming Voice, 5-turn cooldown, booked down to a 3-turn cooldown. Places 1 intercept stack on a target ally. Also places a block debuffs and an increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Pretty solid. And then Wings of Victory at the start of the round places a 50% increased accuracy buff on all allies for 3 turns. Whenever a debuff on an enemy is removed, expires, or has its duration decreased, fills this champion turn meter by 5%. Very solid. And we got increased ally speed by 20%. Then we've got Predator. I'm going to release an entire video talking about him and why I'm kind of underwhelmed by him. But while we're still talking about the summon pool, this summon pool is absolutely amazing. I would be happy with 7 of these legendaries. Literally 7 of these legendaries I would be ecstatic with. And then I would also be happy with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of 10 probably of these epics out of the 16, which is a pretty damn good amount. Very solid. I am definitely going to be getting these Prism crystals, and I do think you should as well. I do think they are absolutely worth your money. These are pretty good, and you will see a summoning video from me ready to go for sure. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. Make sure you're clicking that download link below to get started off in Raid Shadow Legends the best way possible. We got 3 legendaries, including Tholan Foulbeard, Xenomorph, and Sun Wukong, and then 3 epics as well. The best way to start Raid Shadow Legends ever before. Make sure you're starting soon because Xenomorph will not be around forever. Until next time, this has been Duelim. Later, MSFers.